I just want to say this, because this is something that people aren't talking about. There are a lot of conservative Republican politicians in Texas right now that are calling for a Texit, right?
Yes.
You've heard that. What people don't realize is...
I met with him this week. Slatton is his name, Congressman Slatton.
And this is why this is not good, because this is a total conspiracy, but this is what they're saying, is that there's outside influences like China that are actually the ones that are funding Texit, because if Texas did succeed... Succeed, whatever.
Texas is going to succeed.
Succeed. Listen, I'm going to LSU. What I'm saying is...
English is my second language.
Okay, well... This is my first. I still don't know how to speak it. My point is, there's outside influences like China that are trying to influence us for our own republic to shut down. So the idea that Texas is going to become its own republic sounds nice, but that would be the end of America.
Of course it's the end of America. I'm more concerned about Chinese influence in D.C. than I am in Austin, where I reside. And that's kind of unambiguous. I'm more concerned about Chinese influence in Cambridge with Harvard, Chinese influence with New Haven and Yale, and all these other universities, and Hollywood especially.
So what do you think?
This is unambiguous. Who here is interested in learning lessons from the CCP? Are you kidding me?
So what do you think happens?
Besides Luke.
Let's say there's a national divorce.
Yes.
I don't know how that happens, like in terms of dividing lines or whatever. Let's say then the petrodollar is done, which it already appears like we're on the cusp of. What do you think America looks like in 10 or 20 years?
I am not. I think it's going to take. Here's my. People like this will never happen. It's crazy. There's two models that establish something like this could happen. 1964, Barry Goldwater has the biggest electoral defeat in American history. 16 years later, his spiritual heir, Ronald Reagan, has a landslide election. Nigel Farage goes on the floor of the European Union, says, I'm ready to have Brexit. And they're like, haha, okay, Mr. Screwed Up Teeth, go back to the UK. 17 years later, he stood on the floor of the European Union and said, you all laughed at me. Well, you're not laughing now. So mark my words, if you asked every single person in this state in 2014, which is more likely to happen next, Trump becomes president or Texas declares independence, everyone would have said Texas.
But Brexit is England seceding from
Great Britain?
Yes. So that's like...
England seceding from the EU.
So that's getting out of...
England seceding from Great Britain. Ian, I love you so much.
I'm just talking about 20 years.
I love you so much.
Brexit's a situation where we're basically getting away from a corporation. The EU is like a corporation.
So is the federal government.
It's a republic. I mean, it's a republic.
How? If you can keep it.
Yeah, if we can keep it.
And we have lost it.
So James Lindsay's talking about when you want to destroy your enemy, you don't surround them. You give them an escape path. And then when they turn and flee, if you surround them, they'll fight to the death. So you give them an escape path that you want them to take. They take it, and then you pounce on them when they're trying. The whole breaking up of the United States is that escape path that's been given to us. Or it seems like it's an escape.
I am not going to be led by China, whether directly or indirectly. I'm not just going to do the opposite of whatever China wants. If China would think it would be a bad thing if Korea was nuked. I would agree with them on that. So just because China theoretically wants something doesn't mean it's inherently wrong, even though they are our enemy. And I am far more concerned about invasion from D.C. than I am from Beijing.
Like invasion of...
Like they threaten it all the time. Eric, what's his name? The one running for Senate in California?
But you mean like federal government invading states and imposing federal will?
And Waco is like an hour and a half from there. Me and Blair and a couple of our friends went to visit. They still have a memorial for all the kids that were murdered. You can still see where the corpses were. And the federal agents stood over the bodies and posed for it like it was Disneyland.
So dark. Where did Alex Jones go?
He's right there.
He was detained.
Where did he go? I thought he was over there.
Taking the longest peek, I think.
Oh my God.
He's going number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alex Jones goes number 3.
I always get... I get like...
What a secret third thing.
When we talk about secession, I feel like my soul is vibrating. Like it's like that's like the worst thing in the world would be for the federal government to be putting Texas under siege. That would be horrific.
They had that already, you know that.
I mean, with like destroyers in the Gulf, with checkpoints on the border.
It doesn't have to be.
Like people drove from across the...
Listen, Ian, if you were in a relationship and the person tells you, if you leave, I'm going to surround your house and kill you, that's not an excuse to be like, well, let's figure out how we can make this work. That means we got to get the F out of Dodge immediately.